Welcome back to the channel, guys. Now today we're taking a look at Remington's final double barrel side-by-side shotgun, and also the oldest shotgun that we've ever reviewed on the channel, the Remington 1900. All right, so today we're going to look at a 1905 Remington 1900 in 12 gauge. Now Remington actually introduced these in 1900, and they did it while they were still producing the 1894 model, which was actually Remington's very first double barrel side-by-side hammerless shotgun. And the reason why they did that is because they wanted to create a simplified, lower cost version of it, and that's what they did with the 1900. Now, it was released in 1900, and Remington produced these through 1910. And in that time frame, they made about 99,000 of them, and serial numbers started at 300,000 and went all the way to about 399,000. So if you're looking at yours, or if you're looking at getting your hands on one, you can kind of disregard that 3, because really they only made about 99,000 of these guns. Now, if you are looking to get your hands on one, it's also important to note that they did come with different grades as well as a couple different options. Now, they came with 4 different grades, one of them being a K grade, which was just steel barrels, no ejectors, a KE grade, which was steel barrels with auto ejectors, a KD grade, which was Damascus barrels, no ejectors, and then a KED grade, which was Damascus barrels with auto ejectors. So those are the 4 different grades that you can find, and if you're trying to find that, you can pull the fore end off, take the barrel off, and look underneath the barrel, and you should see those letters engraved into the bottom of the barrel to see what grade it is. Now, these also only came in 12 gauge and 16 gauge options, and you could also get them either with 28-inch, 30-inch, or 32-inch barrels. Now, these were also designed at a time where Remington was not putting, skeet or modified or full choke on the barrels themselves. They actually had a different way of testing and patterning these guns, which I thought was pretty cool. If you take a look at the bottom of the barrel lug, you'll probably see 2 numbers. It's either going to be 3 digits or 2 digits, and basically that is the number of pellets that basically got into this circle for this test. So what Remington did is they would basically test these at 40 yards and shoot them at a 30-inch circle with a 1/4 ounce load of 8 shot, basically kind of like a target load shot. And what they were doing is they were going to be counting the pellets that actually got into that circle out of 511 pellets, which each of these shells had, and that's how they were going to pattern the gun and distinguish the actual choke. So on this particular gun that we have here today, there's a 26 and a 28. So if you put a 3 in front of that, that's 326 pellets out of 511, and 328 pellets out of 511. So if you do the math on that, that's about 63 to 64% of the shot actually hit that 30-inch circle. And if you do the math on that, you can kind of say to yourself, well, that's probably about a improved modified choke pattern, right? So depending on what you were looking for, you could look at those markings to see if you were looking more for like modified or improved modified or full. And let's be honest, I thought that was really cool that Remington actually took the time on each of their guns to pattern it. So when you got it back in 1900 to 1910, you knew exactly what you were buying and exactly how that gun patterned. Pretty cool stuff. The model that we have here today is a KD version, or KD grade. So it's got 30-inch Damascus barrels with no auto ejectors. Now, like I said, this is a 1905, so for a 120-year-old gun, this gun is actually in really nice shape. It's got the original wood, there's really no cracks, and really not much sign of aging on this gun in terms of the wood itself. Now, the barrels as well as the receiver does have a really nice patina on it, which you can imagine being 120 years old, but really no rust or any pitting. So, whoever had this gun majority of its life really took pretty good care of it. The bores itself are really clean, no issues there. And it's even got the original butt plate on it with no chips or cracks in it. And as you guys know, those are usually the first things to go on these older guns. So pretty cool stuff right there. It's in really nice shape. It does have that splinter fore end on it with a spring, so you can snap it on and snap it off. A little bit different than how the over-unders and side-by-sides are nowadays, but still a cool design. And it also has the double trigger system. So the trigger for the one barrel, then the rear trigger for the other barrel, which is also interesting. Now, this particular gun comes in at 7 pounds, 1 ounce, And as I mentioned, it's got that double trigger system. So if you're holding on to it, first trigger comes in at 13 inches, or pardon me, 13 3/4 inches. And the rear trigger comes in at 13 inches. Now, a lot of times I really do like to take these out and shoot them, tell you guys my first impressions, tell you how they shoot, and give you my final thoughts. However, with this being a 1905 with Damascus barrels, I had to take a little bit of caution with that, and I did use my chamber gauge, and unfortunately this does actually have a 2 5/8 inch chamber. So I would not want to shoot 2 3/4 inch shells like I normally do through this. Another thing is that because it's Damascus barrels and just the age, these usually want to take lower pressure loads. So if I was going to shoot something through this, number one, I'd probably take it to a qualified gunsmith just to get his or her opinion on it before I actually shot anything through it, and that's what I would definitely advise you guys to do. And on top of that, it'd probably be a lower pressure load under 5,000, because even nowadays, most of these loads are 9, 10, 11, 12,000 PSI. And in my opinion, you're taking a big risk shooting something like that through this gun. And it's just not worth it. It's definitely a big regret if you do that and it doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to. So again, my little disclaimer, my little disclosure here is to definitely take a gun like this to a qualified gunsmith and get their expert opinion before you ever take it out shooting. Not only just because of the pressures, but also there's different chamber sizes. And one might think, yeah, a 2 3/4 inch shell does fit in this gun, but when you fire it, that shot opens up, and that's not safe because it is longer than what the chamber is designed for. So now eventually I do hope to get my hands on some low pressure loads, hopefully maybe some 2.5 or 2 5/8 inch shells with loads 5,000 or less PSI, and would love to take this gun out and shoot it. So until then, all I can really do is talk about first impressions. So when I take a look at this gun, the Remington model 1900, knowing that it's 125 years old and the gun that we're looking at here is 120 years old, I'm surprised that newer side-by-side double barrel shotguns really don't look or feel that much different than the ones they were designing, over 100 years ago. The stock and the pistol grip pretty much feels the same. It's got the tang safety on it, similar double trigger design. Really, it points, mounts, swings, pretty much like the guns that you see nowadays. Not much has changed in that period of time. So these gun manufacturers already had it figured out such a long time ago that we really didn't have to make too many changes on the side-by-side shotguns. Now, a few changes, obviously, Damascus barrels are kind of a thing of the past. Now everything is modern steel. Taking a look at the fore end, this is that older splinter style design, which in my opinion, just doesn't give you that much to hold on to. But besides some of those subtle changes, it is a classic shotgun that Remington designed, and really something that any Remington collector should have in their collection. Now, as always, I always like to ask you guys, have you shot one of these before? What'd you think of it? Was it a blast to shoot? Was it not so much fun? What did you use to shoot in it? All those comments would be very helpful to me and our viewers, so definitely take the time to put those in the comments. Other than that though, we always appreciate your guys' support, so please like, subscribe, ring that bell so you can get notifications of all of our future content. And like I said, we're going to hopefully get our hands on some low pressure shells so we can take this out and shoot it. But until then, this is Scott signing off from the Average Joe's Armory, channel for the Average Joe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.